Hey y'all, welcome to the Fill-In Station. It's a new day, another opportunity, y'all, to make money in the market or to just learn from the market, right? But let me go ahead and give my disclaimer, y'all. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth, and the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, let's get started. So y'all, we are looking at the VIX, and as you can see, we have been climbing, right? So right now, we have support at 1377 and resistance was at 1382, but we still, we're going to this upside, right? So we are getting rejected right here at this 1388. And that's interesting because when the VIX goes up, that normally means the SPY is coming down. So our 200 EMA is right here at 1429 or 1426, and we're looking at this on the 1 hour chart. So if the VIX continues up, it needs to break above this 1396 here, and we'll have trouble again at the 1425 or 1426 area, which is right at our 200 EMA. Looking at it on the 1 hour chart, looking at it on this 4 hour chart, we have trouble here at 1396 again, and the 50 EMA, which is at 1411. So I would say trade carefully today because it looks like the VIX is trying to climb to the upside. We are having trouble, in a few places. However, that does not mean that we can't break through those places. So let's go to the SPY, y'all. And the SPY is doing what it does during it's just moving sideways, right? It's not really going anywhere. We're not making too many highs and not making too many lows. We're just, just going sideways. So right now, our gathering spot, I always like to go to the 4 o'clock candle, and right about here is our 4 o'clock candle, and we're just finding support. I'm going to mark it right here because the moving averages are right here. So right now, that is our zone. It seems as if SPY is trading in the support, which is around the 520.90 area, and our resistance is right here at the 521.27. So if we break through to the upside, we are breaking above the 5 EMA, looking at it on this 30-minute chart, which is at the 521.16 area. So it will need to, again, break above the 521.27, stay above the 521.16. However, we have trouble right here at the 521.53, which is the ATR trailing stop. So that's something to be mindful of to the upside, right? So looking at it on the 1 hour chart to the upside, again, breaking above the 521.27, we're going to have trouble at 522.26, which is the ATR trailing stop. So we're trading in a very tight zone right now, and it can go in either direction. Just know that the 522, 521 area is where we're going to have some trouble because those are, our stopping points. I always say what's going to stop me, what's going to stop it or keep it from moving forward. So 524, this area here, 524.61 is an area that I had marked before that SPY has tested. So if we break above the 521 and the 523, we could very well come back and test this 524.53. But again, I would watch carefully. SPY has been moving up. As you can see, we are above the 5 EMA. So that is our support as of right now, looking at it from that standpoint. But again, I always say trade carefully. Now let's look to the downside for the SPY. Looking at it on this 4 hour chart, we're going to have trouble at 520.17. 517.58 is a strong support because it is the ATR trailing stop, and it was a support for a gathering spot on the daily chart that I had marked, and I just kept it on my chart. So I would definitely, if we break the levels to the downside, it wouldn't surprise me to see the SPY come back down to the 517 range, or the 517 area. So looking at it again on this 1 hour chart, if we break under the 520.90 area, then our support will be at the 520.74. However, if we break all of the, to the downside, if we come down, the 200 EMA is all the way down here at the 516.49. Yesterday, it was around the 517 area. So it wouldn't surprise me if we start declining, to come back down to the 516, 517, or even this, 519 area. It would not surprise me at all based on, what the VIX was trying to do. But again, anything is possible in the market, y'all. I always say trade what you see. Don't rush into your trades. Allow your trades to come to you, right? This is Tesla. Tesla is interesting. Yesterday we ran up tested that 175, which I thought was rather interesting considering it looked as if it wanted to come back to the downside. So right now, our support for Tesla was at that 171.47. If we break that 171.47, we can continue to the downside. And as you can see, looking at it on this 30-minute chart, we've been going sideways, right? It came down and tested this ATR trail and stopped at 171.24, but it seems to be finding support at this 50 EMA, which was right here at the gathering spot yesterday at 171.47. So that 171.47 and 171.42 area, we are what's the 171.24 area, we definitely need to watch that for support. Now to the upside, that 172.77 is it's a trouble place for us because we've tested it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've tested it 4 times. Is it trying to take us back to the upside, or are we going to get rejected and continue to the downside? That's interesting. And I always say, y'all trade what you see, right? So 173.82 is our resistance, which is that is the 200 EMA, looking at it on this 30-minute chart. Before we get to that, we're going to have trouble at 173.64 and at 173.85, which is that puts us right at the 200 EMA. So we need to be careful at that 173.82, 173.70-ish area. We need to be careful there because if we test this, we could very well get rejected, or we can keep going, right? That's something to be mindful of. So my trouble places for Tesla today is breaking above this 172.77. If it does, then 173.68, 173.82, and 173.84. Those are areas that I would definitely be watching Tesla to get rejected and or to break through those areas. So if you're trading, trade carefully. Now to the downside, it looks as if that 172.24, and it's really wanting to, it looks like it want to break through this area of resistance here. So looking at it, to the downside, if it breaks under this 171.24 area, then we're going to have trouble at 170.56, and again at 169.73 and 169.01. Those are places that I would look for Tesla to find support if it breaks. So 168.78. So 168.78, 169.01, 169.73, and the 170.56 area if we break under the 171.24. So I always say, y'all trade carefully because as you can see, we've tested this a few times. It looks like it wants to break through, but for some reason it keeps getting rejected. So we really don't know. Trade carefully today. I had this on my list a few days ago because it was an inside day and I never marked I didn't do a whole lot with it. I just had it on my list, right? GameStop. And I remember this from a few years ago. GameStop, it ran up crazy, right? But look and see how it closed at $30.45, and we made a pre-market high of $80. Let me tell, especially if you are a new trader, do not get caught holding the shares or do not get caught holding the bag, because it is one of those pump and dump type things that it will run up, and it will sell off, and then you're waiting on it to get back to that place that it may take years for it to come back to that place. So if you are in profit, I always say trade carefully. Take your profit when you see profit, not financial advice. Let me go ahead and say that, but based on experience, I've seen this before, and it would not surprise me to see it go back up to the $300 range. Let me say that. So I just had to throw that. I saw it on my list, and I didn't do a whole lot with it. When I looked at it, it was $17, and now it's up to $80. But that's how it happens, right? That's how it works. So let's look at, do I have an AMD? AMD is moving more or less sideways. Again, it's down. 149.71 is our support area. As you can see, the candle came down, and that was our low. 149, my eyes today, 149.73, around 149.71. That's our support area. So this is our 4 o'clock candle. We broke out of that zone here. We would have been trading in this area. So we're going to mark that as support 150.30 and then the 150.63, because we actually broke out of that and came back down to this area here. So I'm going to mark this as a pre-market low, 149.71. That is our pre-market low. So AMD is trading interesting today. It looks like it wants to trade to the downside. Right now we broke out of the gathering spot, which is our zone here, to come back down to test, create this. It's a new gathering spot, as we can see. And it's right here at the 5 EMA, which a little bit above that. So we need to be careful. We're going to have trouble. It needs to get back above this 150.30 area, and we're going to have trouble at the 150.54 and the 150.63. So AMD will need to break above all of this in order to go back to the upside. Not saying that it can't, because it definitely can. So we're going to have trouble at the 151.24, which is right at the 50 EMA. So the ATR trailing stop here and the 50 EMA is strong resistance. If it makes it to this area, I would say watch it, because sometimes it'll test it and then get rejected and come back down. But right now, it looks like it wants to trade to the downside. So I would definitely be careful at those areas, that 149.71. If we break that area, we can continue down. And it looks like AMD has been trading, kind of like sideways a little bit. We had this run up here, but it came back down to the gathering spot, is what I like to say, or the demand zone. So to the downside, let's see if we can find some downside targets for AMD. If we break the 149.71, we can very well come back and test the 148.66, the 148.23, the 146.04, and the 145.80. I would say definitely watch those areas to the downside. Now to the upside, it will need to break above that 151, was it? 151.24 and 150.155. 152.04, and this 200 EMA is at 152.22. So again, I always say trade carefully, trade what you see, mark your levels. It's easy sometimes for me to just mark my gathering spot and see how it's trading once it breaks out of the gathering spot. And don't rush into your trades. Again, allow your trades to come to you. And y'all, today's going to be an interesting day. Let me say that. Today's going to be a very interesting day, especially with GameStop. A lot of people are going to rush over into that area, but I've seen so much with that. So this is NVDA, and NVDA seems to be, looks like it's trading to the downside right now. This was our 4 o'clock candle is here. And it seems as if we broke out of this to the downside under the 5 EMA. We have our trouble places right here at the 50 EMA, which is the 901.54, 901.69 area. So it will need to break above this and stay above this so that we can go back to the upside. Right now it's at support, which is right here at 899.98. Our resistance is again right here at 902.96. So we're trading in this zone and we're under some moving averages. So I would definitely say trade carefully. So if it breaks above this 901.54 or 901.64 area, we're going to have trouble again at 902.96. Then here again at 905.37, 906.75, and the ATR trailing stop at 908.86. Those are trouble places to the upside. Now to the downside, if we break under where we are now, pre-market 899.04, I would definitely watch that level, and then 897.69, 896.74, and 895.14. Those are trouble places for us for NVIDIA. And right now it looks like it's just trading sideways, like it really wants to it looks like it wants to go to the downside. But again, I always say when the bell ring, showtime, things just change when the market opens, right? So trade carefully. Just know that we're going to have trouble. It needs to stay above where we are now, this $900 range. We need to stay above that. And if it breaks above 902.92, we can very well continue to the upside. So I will set an alert above that 902.92 area just to remind me that, NVIDIA is breaking through some levels of resistance. So we could very well continue to the upside. But again, y'all, I always say this, anything is possible. Trade what you see. And yeah, so I did have the Qs as an inside day. QQQ is an inside day, and I'll give the trigger for that to the upside and to the downside. If it breaks above this 444.12, then 444.31 is the target. To the downside, if it breaks under 444 178, then the 440.50 is the target to the downside. And right now we're trading in a zone, basically trading sideways. So I would definitely mark those levels and set my alert. If it breaks above this, then this is the target. And SQQQ is also an inside day. And the trigger for that is if it breaks above, which is right here at the ATR trailing stop, $10.65, then $10.73 is the target. If it breaks under $10.47, and $10.46 is the target to the downside. And right now we're just trading sideways. We're in this little gathering spot. I always say the no trade zone because we're not really going anywhere. So I will definitely watch those places. And I'm trying to see if we have any other inside day candles. I believe IWM was an inside day, and it is. So if it breaks above 206.55, then 206.62 is the target. To the downside, if it breaks under 204.60, then the 203.68 is the target. So yeah, today is definitely going to be an interesting trading day. Let me say that. And we are back at GameStop again. We hit this target, this $80 range. I remember that if I'm trading that, because that's where we had trouble before. So we can come back up and test this and break through it because we got rejected the first time. We found it has found support, which is interesting, right here at the $58.80, considering it was $17 just last week. That's something to think about, y'all. So again, please don't get caught holding, shares or holding. If you see profit, be wise. Let me say that. Just be wise, because I've seen this happen so many times. So yeah, again, trade what you see. Don't get caught on the wrong side of your trade. That's not financial advice. We are looking at the SPY again. It seems like we've broken out of this gathering spot here, or trying to break out of the gathering spot, and it has made a new high of 521.43, which is here. And I need to remember that, because right now that is our pre-market high. And we could very well, continue up. Just know that we're going to have trouble at 521.53. That is a trouble place for us to the upside. So Tesla has broken through the area of 172.77. So Tesla can very well come back up and get rejected at the 173.82. It looks like it's climbing as of right now. It's 827. Yes, and the market has not opened yet, but again, we are breaking out of our gathering spot. I always say we did this on yesterday, had this strong move up and only to come back down. So just be careful and trade carefully. Y'all listen, I do these pre-market videos just to show you what I see when I look at the market early mornings, but again, not financial advice. I just like to share information. I hope these videos are very, very helpful for you. Again, I hope that everyone have a very profitable day, a very productive day. And y'all, I always like to leave you with this. Be blessed as well as a blessing unto others. Until next time.